Okay, guys. Glad I told you we'd be right back. Now, this is the second part to episode 7. And before my mother starts back up. Now, remember where she ended was the doctor came into the room after she asked them, would Fluffy be treated? And if your dog is Fluffy, we ain't talking about you, okay? We just talking about what we talking about. But if Fluffy, they would treat Fluffy better than me. And so I want you to be mindful, like my mom said, I am a very good advocate when I'm out of the hospital, when I am in the hospital for myself. And I told you before, I think it might have been episode 4, that I didn't care what your title was. I didn't care how much money you made, what class, what status, none of that. If I felt like you was doing wrong, baby, I was going to tell you. So before my mother get into it, she ended with the doctors came in. And my primary care point of contact was a woman. It was 3 of them, but she was a woman. And she sat down. The first thing I told her was, I'm still doing this. And sweating. I'm mad at you. She like, why? Because they told me this morning that you said you ain't have time to come down. And I said, well, why don't you send one of your residents? She ain't got no glasses on. She looking like, yeah. Okay, I'm going to let my mother go ahead. Go ahead, Ma.
So after Crystal lets her know that she is upset with her, I think she actually takes Crystal's hand.
She did.
And she actually leans in. So she's sitting down, so she's face to face with Crystal. And Crystal is shaking and saying, Doc, something's wrong. This is not right, and I'm afraid. And I'm afraid something bad is going to happen. Yeah. And so then the doctor leans in and says, well, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think bad is going to happen? Now, I don't remember what Crystal's response was. Maybe she remembers what she said to her. And maybe Chrissy said, I don't know. Whatever's going on with me, it isn't right.
And I think that's what I said, Mama. I think I told her, I don't know, but I know something ain't right and this ain't right. And I'm scared that it's going to get worse.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
And something's going to happen. So Crystal went on to say about how, she was having this burning around her incision. And I think the doctor quite made a good call when she said, well, Crystal, you are sweating. And so that sweat is probably getting into your incision. And so that's what's causing the burning. But the other thing, so she just needed to know. Crystal and we all needed to know, what is going on because this is so abnormal. And she was having such severe pain in her shoulder, and she just couldn't move her arm.
Can I say this?
Yes.
And maybe I don't want to help you lose your thought, but in the midst of her talking with me, and I told her how upset I was. Y'all know what? Remember I told you they called that woman earlier? She said, Crystal, they never told me that this was the state you were in. Remember, from 5:45 to about 10 o'clock, I was in this, sweating. That's why when my mother came in there, I had already been sweating profusely for a good 2.5, 3 hours. So she said, Crystal, they never told me that you were in this state. If they would have told me that, then I would have been down here immediately. My thoughts, allegedly, is that they wanted to cover their butt. Because the doctors would have asked them, well, why is she in this state? And the only reason Crystal gets in that state is when she don't get her medicine on time. So then it would have been other questions that they had to answer. So I think a lot of this stuff, they were really covering their butts. And that's why she didn't know the state I was in. And so by the time she got there, I was already past 20. Okay.
Well, and on that note, I did tell Crystal that even before the doctor said that they had not told her what her true condition was, I said, Crystal, they probably didn't even tell her that you were in this shape. They probably just said, Crystal Majors wants to see you, and then just dropped it. But like I said, this physician had been very attentive to Crystal and responsive, and so So again, she just verified what I had told Crystal. about that.
All right. So after that, did they give me something? I think they may have gave me something. I don't know what it is, and I think I was going in and out because remember I said I felt like really sedated. Because once I calmed down, like I said, it was about that 10 o'clock, and I could barely lift up for my mother to give me anything to drink. Like, I couldn't even hold it myself, I think, too. Was I still shaking a little bit?
Or still shaking.
And I was just so weak. But that ain't it, y'all. Why? Now she sees my shoulder. Now she sees that they didn't give me out of medication. Now they trying to take me serious to see if, what'd you say, Mama? They wanted to know if it was a blood clot or...
You know what? Let's backtrack a little because at some point that male doctor came in and I had her sister, Dr. Stubbs, on the phone. And so they were having a conversation. So Dee Dee was trying to make sure that she always coaches and say, well, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you think about running this test? Did you think about running that test? And so I had her on the phone and she was conversing with him with regard to what was going on with her shoulder and the things that they probably needed to check. So that was probably after your female doctor.
Yeah, primary, because I think all three of them was together maybe, or maybe he came back down or something. Whatever it was, they had to wait for me to come down off of this after hours. And it wasn't like I told you guys an immediate thing. It took a minute, but that's why I have people here with me, you know, along with this journey because they were there firsthand. And a lot of stuff I was just really in and out for. I'm really good with telling some stuff, but like this particular part, and as we go further, it gets a little rocky, okay? So before we have to do this other one, let's walk you into kind of what happened after that. Because it wasn't over. But it gets funnier, okay? So episode 8, y'all gonna be cracking up laughing. Might be a little nasty, but y'all gonna be cracking up laughing, okay? So she said, so once I came down, then after my sister went through the care plan and what they didn't do and what they did do, one of the things was they wanted to get an x-ray, okay? So this is where I'm going to let my mother jump back in because all I really remember in and out, like I don't remember who was all in the room, but when she tell you, this is going to let you know how weak I was and just out of it. Like I said, they wanted me to go get x-rays, okay? And so all I do remember is them saying, Crystal, are you able to get up because they want you to do x-rays, and basically saying like I can't sit in the bed and do it. I have to stand up in order for them to give me x-rays to see if this is my arthritis, is it a blood clot or whatever. But remember, 5 days before that, I had literally went and got x-rays done of my neck after surgery to make sure all the stuff was in place, and I was in the freaking bed. Neither here nor there. But Mama, can you explain real quick what that?
So the doctor was still in the room, and the nurse came back and said they won't do the x-ray on her spine unless she's able to stand. And so the doctor's saying, well, like, why can't they do it with her in the bed? But anyway, because this is what they had said, the doctor was there, the nurse was there, and by this time her physical therapist had come in because the physical therapist was coming to check on Chrissy and get her up, you know, on the side of the bed and try to get her walking.
Yeah, I had to work with her that day.
Yes.
Okay.
So she had come back, and so they must have given us, I don't know if they had given her morphine.
I think they did.
And maybe an extra dose of morphine, and that's always in her intravenously. Yeah. So it acts very quickly. So she had this medication, whatever else they had given her. So, and Crystal is a fighter, and because she wanted to do better, she was like, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do, and I'll try to do what I can because I really need to get free from this pain and find out what's going on. So as the doctor, the nurse, the physical therapist or getting her to stand up.
So how many people was that?
It was 3.
It was 3 people?
Yes, the doctor, the nurse, and your physical therapist.
And that's how out of it I was. Why should it take 3 people to get me up? But guess what, Mom? 10 minutes is up. We gonna do the last section in 3 and 3, and so we'll be right back, okay? I know I hate it too. I know.